there, welcome to Understanding Value. This video is to help you explain to your people questions around pricing. I think there's a lot of sensitivity around money in our world, and people come from lots of different money backgrounds. And oftentimes I hear someone question the pricing of a company and how much money a company is making, and oftentimes there's this undertone that some companies trying to pull one over on the consumer. And so whether it's pricing of a service or pricing of a product, I want to walk you through how to talk about pricing with your people. So let's start with a story about a guy who left his company where he was helping in manufacturing. He'd worked there for 40 years, and he worked on a big machine that was as large as a small house. And when this machine stopped working for any day, it would cost the company $100,000 a day in revenue. And so this machine went down, and all of the engineers who were left at the company were absolutely worried about how much money it was costing. So the supervisor immediately called the retiree and said, "Can you come back and help us find the problem as a consultant?" He said, "Sure, no problem." He walked into the machine, took a few minutes, and with listening and walking up and down the line, pulled a piece of chalk out of his pocket and marked an X on a small panel and said, "If you look behind there, you'll find the problem." And within 30 minutes, he went home. Later, the company got an invoice for $10,000, and the supervisor, shocked by the invoice, called the man and said, "Hey, look, the invoice, $10,000, that seems a little out of line." And the gentleman said, "Oh, well, did you need me to redo the invoice?" And the supervisor said, "Well, yes, please." And so the second invoice came back and said, "Chalk X, $1. Knowing where to put the chalk X, 40 years of experience, $9,999. See, that $10,000 invoice had saved the company hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I think it's important that we understand value. For example, some people would say, "How much does it cost to make this pen?" And let's assume for a moment that the retail price of this pen is $1. I've heard people say, "Well, it only costs 6 cents to make that pen." Well, that 6 cents might be the cost for the plastic in the pen. But if I paid that 6 cents, all I would have would be a pile of plastic. I wouldn't have a formed pen. I wouldn't have any ink. And I wouldn't have anything else that needs to be done to get that pen to market. You see, taking that plastic takes labor, and then it takes a big machine to make that pen. And someone had to spend money on that big machine. And that big machine might have cost $10,000 or $100,000, but certainly someone wouldn't buy that machine for just one pen. So a company had to invest money. Now, when they invested money, they wanted a return on their investment. They likely used a bank to help finance that, and the bank likely wanted to be profitable. They had investors in the company who wanted to have a return on their investment in the company. And once that pen was made, somebody had to create packaging for that pen. Oftentimes, the reason we get a bulk discount on things is because there's less packaging to be made. Then that pen had to be shipped by a company that wanted to make profit, that had to buy a truck, that had to get financing. And then there was an employee driving that truck, or an owner. And then that was taken to a warehouse. Now, maybe it was done online. Perhaps it was bought at a local store. In either case, somebody had to build a building, someone had to pay for utilities, someone had to pay to move that pen around and then ship it off or get it to the consumer. And all of those people also wanted profit. So at the end of the day, there are lots of different people that had to make money in order to get this pen to you for just $1. So when someone says, "How much does it cost to make this pen?" the answer is, it costs $1. Because all of those people along the way wouldn't want to work for free, just like you and I don't want to work for free. So, services are no different. If someone is a lawyer and they're an expert in their field, and they've been an expert in their field for 20 years, you may wonder why they charge hundreds or thousands of dollars per hour. And it's not because it's just the 1 hour of the time that's being paid for. It's the decades of experience and years of schooling that go into creating that value. Hope this has been helpful. Certainly feel free to send us an email if you have questions about how this applies in your world, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. And while you're here on the site, check out a few more videos. Glad to have you here.